Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to Auntie Derek's Daytime Tea, where we discuss the latest celebrity tea in the news. I'm your host, Auntie Derek, and I have my lovely co-host with me, I Chill. Hey, boo.
Whoop whoop.
Yeah. And shout out to the listeners as well. And look, we already have some chats. BB in the chat talking about, so who are we honoring today? Jennifer Williams. We
Don't
might ditch.
start. Don't start, BB. Don't start this early.
Look, we might ditch. Look, we were just talking about Jennifer and her stupid ass last night during the workout when I was watching Basketball Wives. Talk about her and that old scammer husband of hers, allegedly. But yeah. So, question: did any of you have a chance to see the AMAs last night?
No. I watched
I,
clips.
I Same here. I didn't even know it was on. Remember when we were working out, honey? I was watching Basketball Wives. I didn't even know it was on at the moment. I wanted to see it because I wanted to see the Janet Jackson honor.
Well, Will had told us when it was, but I wasn't interested in seeing it.
Yeah, I must have missed it, or I don't know what was going on. That definitely went over my head.
He told us in a workout session, that she was getting honored and when it was, but I didn't want to see it.
Damn. And similar, Benji says, just like me, I didn't know about it until today. Yep. Well, I found out like when I was looking at the TV guide, and it was like because after the workout I went to go smoke, and then I was looking for something to watch because I couldn't watch no repeat of my stories yesterday. So I was like, let me find me something to watch, and I said it said the American Music Awards. So I was like, hold up now. So when I changed the channel to it at the moment, Gloria Estefan was singing.
Hmm.
So I was like, oh, okay. Then I happened to watch the rest of it, which was boring, but I caught a little bit, after Gloria Estefan. But yeah, I didn't get a chance to see it. But to answer your question, who are we honoring today? Well, let's go ahead and get started with the May Mayhem suggested by Chill, where we honor people who make good trouble in society. And we're going to honor a rap legend on his birthday today, honey. So happy birthday, Jadakiss. And we are going to talk about him today. So I just shared this link from hiphopscriptures.com that gives a really nice bio on Jadakiss. So, born on May 27th, 1975, Jadakiss was raised in Yonkers, New York, in a household where he was well fed and taken care of. As a result, his friends often made fun of him by calling him Big Mac as a reference to his favorite hamburger. He was interested in rap at a very early age when his parents asked him to earn his own money. So he stepped into drug dealing business on the Big Apple Street, where he met people doing freestyles for money. When he was just 12, Jadakiss joined a freestyle competition and was noticed for his rapping ability by management company Rough Riders. He then formed a rap group with two friends, Sheik Luch and Styles P, under the name The Warlock. Signed to Bad Boy Entertainment, he was suggested to change his group name to The Locks, which stands for Living Off Experience. He um he gained his first project as a featured guest with his band, later known as D Block, on Main Source's single "Set It Off" from 1994. What You Think LP. After releasing an album called Money, Power, and Respect with D Block, Jadakiss recorded new materials for his own solo debut album. He dropped "Kiss the Game Goodbye" in August of 2001. Working with Snoop Dogg and Swiss Beats, he was criticized as throwing a repetitive and uninspired LP. He responded to the critics, citing that the record was indeed done less out of inspiration and more out of contract obligations to Bad Boy. Despite the harsh critics, he was certified gold by RIAA for the LP in September of 2001 due to its impressive selling point. Longing to prove that he indeed had a talent, Jadakiss hit studio once again for his second studio album. This time collaborating with Anthony Hamilton, Mariah Carey, Pharrell Williams, Kanye West, and Eminem, among others. He released a sophomore set in June of 2004 under the title Kiss of Death. Finally, his hard work was paid off when the album claimed the number one spot on both Billboard Hot 200 and Billboard Top R&B and Hip Hop Albums. Aside from getting heavy airplay over songs from his second LP, Jadakiss was also confronted with controversy. One of his singles, titled "Why," featured lyrics that were believed to imply a link between George W. Bush and September 11th, 2001 attacks. The song got banned on some radios and played with lyrics in question censored. It peaked at number 11 on Billboard Hot 100 singles charts though. In late 2007, Jadakiss signed to Jay-Z's Rockefeller Records, a move Jay had been trying to arrange for a long time. The move came on the heels of increased D Block and Rockefeller collaborations. In 2006, Jadakiss and former rival Beanie Siegel collaborated on DJ Khaled's album Listen, the album, and in 2007 on Freeway's album Free at Last. In 2009, Jadakiss released his much delayed and anticipated third studio album, The Last Kiss. The first single, Be My Side, featuring Neo, was released in October 2008. Two more singles, Can't Stop Me and Death Wish, featuring Lil Wayne, were released in 2009. One more single, Who's Real, featuring Swiss Beats and OJ the Juice Man, released later that year. In 2010, Jadakiss left Rockefeller Records and in 2011, he was featured on two DJ Khaled tracks, one of them titled It Ain't Over Till It's Over, featuring Mary J. Blige and Fabulous, and the remix of Welcome to My Hood, also featuring Ludacris, Busta Rhymes, Twista, Movado, Birdman, Ace Hood, Fat Joe, Gang, Bun B, and Waka Flocka Flame. It's a lot of niggas on that track, I tell you. Anyway, on April 26th of 2012, Jadakiss released his mixtape, Consignment, hosted by DJ Drama. On June 4th of 2013, Jadakiss released the first single from his then upcoming fourth studio album, Top 5 Dead or Alive, titled Big Boy Dialogue, featuring vocals from The Dream. The album was scheduled to be released during September or October 2013, but after much delay, the album was finally released on November 20th of 2015. I remember that day because I was actually really surprised at how good that album was. But anyway, it featured guest appearances from Akon, Future, Jeezy, Lil Wayne, Neo, Nas, Nipsey Hussle, Styles P, Puff Daddy, Sheik Luch, Swiss Beats, Wiz Khalifa, and Young Buck, and was supported by two singles, Jason featuring Swiss Beats and Ain't Nothing New featuring Neo and Nipsey Hussle. The album debuted at number 4 on the Billboard 200 and received positive reviews from critics. In 2016, the Lox released their first studio album. Their first album is 16 Years, titled Filthy America, It's Beautiful. The album featured guest appearances from Fetty Wap, Mobb Deep, and Gucci Mane, and peaked at number 42 on the Billboard 200. Says on February 29th of 2016, Fabulous posted a picture on Instagram with Jadakiss with the caption "Freddie vs. Jason coming soon," hinting at the release of a joint project with Jadakiss titled "Freddie vs. Jason." On April 2nd of 2016, Fabulous and Jadakiss released a freestyle of Future's "Wicked" from Purple Rain that was scheduled to appear on Freddie vs. Jason, but did not make the final cut of the album. They also revealed that it would not be a mixtape and insisted on a full album. On October 31st, 2017, the album's first and only single, "Stand Up," featuring Future, was released. On November 21st of 2017, it was announced that the album was changed to Friday on Elm Street. The album was released on November 24th of 2017 and featured guest appearances from Future, Jeezy, Styles P, French Montana, and Yo Gotti. So again, happy birthday, Jadakiss. We wish you many, many more birthdays. And if you all have not seen the Tiny Desk with the Lox, I would highly recommend it. Especially if you're a millennial baby, because it is going to take you back. I'm telling you that me and my cousin was watching that, and we was queening out, honey. So again, let's see, how old is he? If it says he was born, my math is off. So if he was born in 1970, oh, he's 50 today. Al, shout out to that 50-year-old man, and we wish you 50 more and 150 more birthdays. The song with Mariah Carey was his best. It was not, but I understand where you're coming from. That was a good song, but that was not Jadakiss's best song. And how I know that? Because that was not even featured on that Tiny Desk. Look, I said what I said, you a Mobile. Bitch! Well, Anyway, that was that on that. Again, happy birthday, Jada Kiss, and we wish you many more birthdays here from Auntie Derek's Daytime Tea. And does anybody want to add anything about him before we start with the tea? We have a happy birthday in the chat. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started with the tea, horny.
Tea time.
Yes. So what we're gonna do, like we always do, is start off with the trial. Hey, Hammy. So they're back in court. They got back in court this morning, and I'm going to share the CNN link. Remember, yesterday we talked about Capricorn Clark was going to the prosecutors were going to call her on the stand, and they sure did, baby. And when Capricorn got on that stand, she started letting that chopper sing, honey. So let's go to the catch up section to see what we catched up on. What we can catch up on. Okay, so jurors in the Sean Diddy Combs federal sex trafficking trial have heard from 17 witnesses so far. Here's a recap of what was said. So Capricorn Clark, former employee of Sean Diddy Combs and Cassie Ventura, says an early start to music career. Clark interned with Def Jam Records out of high school, then worked for Death Row Records, which was managed by Combs' rival, Marion Suge Knight, at the time before moving on to work for Combs in 2004 at Bad Boy Entertainment. She testified as his personal assistant. After briefly leaving in 2006, she returned to work for Combs in 2007 as the director of marketing for Sean John's Women's, she said, and became a global brand director in 2008 before being terminated in 2012. She then worked as Cassie Ventura's creative director from 2016 to 2018, she testified. So this is a long history, with long on and off history between Capricorn, Diddy, and Cassie, apparently. It says, threatened on the first day of work. Clark said Combs took her to Central Park with his security guard, and he brought up her former employment with Death Row Records, telling her he didn't know that I had anything to do with Suge Knight, and if anything happened, he would have to kill me. Clark testified, adding that she felt she couldn't convince him that she was trustworthy at the time, but could have been more transparent about her employment background. Says an issue with rapper 50 Cent. Well, who didn't have an issue with 50 Cent? But anyway, while working as a personal assistant for Combs, Clark said she heard him discuss guns once when Combs' then manager got into an elevator after Combs did an MTV event that also involved rapper 50 Cent. Combs told his elevator companions he had an issue with 50 Cent, and after further conversation, Combs said, I don't do that. I like guns, Clark testified, saying Combs' demeanor was very serious. Oh, so he was threatening to shoot my man, my man, my man. So then there was a lie detector test. Clark, who was tasked with holding diamond jewelry on loans to Combs, was accused of stealing it, she testified, saying she realized the bag she was holding with the jewelry inside went missing before they got to the airport to travel from New York to Miami. Combs went on to Miami and left Clark in New York, where a security guard picked her up from her home and left her in a locked vacant office space with another man who administered a lie detector test, Clark said. Clark testified she was taken to the same vacant office building for questioning with the lie detector for 5 days straight. The man told Clark that the man told Clark at the time, if she failed the test, they're going to throw you into the East River, she said, adding that she didn't want to comply and felt petrified, but felt the lie detector was the only way to prove her innocence. After 5 days of testing, Clark was allowed to go back to work, she said, saying Combs never asked her where she was during those 5 days and never mentioned the lie detector test to her. Mm-mm. Ooh, child, there's more, honey. It don't even like we scratched the surface. So it says stress-induced alopecia. Clark typically worked from 9 a.m. to 4 a.m. as Combs' personal assistant without breaks or meals, she testified, saying that she was compensated $65,000 annually for her work.
What?
Combs told, yeah, girl, you all that your work schedule is daily from 9 a.m. to 4 a.m. and you're only getting paid $65,000 a year. Girl, you better go apply in the post office. Anyway, Combs told her that if she didn't complete any tasks, she'd lose her job, she said. On a good night, the former assistant got 4 hours of sleep, she said, which ultimately developed into stress induced alopecia. Oh, and chill. Oh, hey, favorite Taurus. Child, this is where chill. You real about the gag now, honey. Stiped in $80,000 in overtime. Oh, excuse me, stiffed. I said stiped. Stiffed in $80,000 in overtime. As
Wow.
Combs' assistant, Clark testified, a human resources representative for Bad Boy presented Combs with a sheet that calculated that Clark was owed $80,000 in overtime for a 3-month period. She said, Combs ripped up the paper and said she was never paid for the time worked, she testified. Girl.
Mm, mm-mm, mm-mm,
Honey, and this is where that racketeering comes in. So,
mm-hmm.
aliases for hotel stays, traveling with the drugs, and cameras. Clark testified that when Combs traveled, his rooms were reserved under aliases like Frank Black or Frank White, like another former assistant, George Kaplan, testified last week. Remember, Frank Black was a reference to the late rapper and Bad Boy Records artist Notorious B.I.G., who had a nickname of Frank White, Kaplan previously testified. She was a witness to drug use, it says. Clark testified that she saw Combs do ecstasy and Molly about once a week, in addition to a prescription medication. Over time, Combs's drug use increased, she said. Drugs would be delivered to Clark or Combs directly, and he asked her to get him ecstasy fewer than 10 times and prescription drugs, which were made out to her and other times out to Combs, she testified. Clark saw Combs offer drugs to his friends and girlfriends, she said. Um, Child, a life that wasn't her own. While working for Combs as his personal assistant, Clark said she was expected to follow his every instruction, referencing summer of 2006 in Miami, where she escorted a guest to another location in the city and stayed for about an hour when Combs questioned her whereabouts. She returned back to Combs' house. He told her, "See, your problem is you want a life, and you can't have that here." And he told her not to leave the house, she testified.
Wow.
Mm-mm. So I guess that's where the kidnap, they can use that as kidnapping, I guess. So crossing boundaries. Following the Miami summer of 2006 incident, Clark told a chef that she hated her employment, she testified. The chef then told Combs, who confronted Clark, pushing her and demanding she get out of his house, she said. Clark said Combs pushed her about 30 yards using about 75% of his force, she said. Eventually, one of Combs' security guards intervened by telling Combs to stop and telling Clark to go pack her belongings. Clark testified she left her job after this incident because it was crossing my boundary. Clark later returned to work for the hip hop mogul as the director of marketing for Sean John's women's line after the 2006 incident at his Miami house, but not directly under him because she didn't want that close proximity in his personal orbit like that, she testified. I know that's right. And you know what? They probably offered her a healthy amount of money to come on to work with that position. Anyway, her relationship with Cassie. In 2011, Clark began managing Ventura as her creative director, she said, saying he had final approval over everything, including Ventura's physical appearance and every opportunity she could or couldn't take. Clark Ventura and Kid Cudi would sometimes hang out, she said, recalling a time where Ventura texted her asking if they could pick up Kid Cudi, and Clark told Ventura to delete the text because Combs paid for both of their phones, Clark testified. Clark said she was very concerned about Combs finding out about the relationship between Ventura and Kid Cudi. Clark then took Ventura to Best Buy to buy a burner phone, she testified. That is crazy. Don't that sounds eerily similar to the Brat and Mariah Carey? Anyway, so the Kid Cudi incident. Combs, for the first time, showed up at Clark's home in Los Angeles in December 2011 with a gun, visibly furious, questioning why she didn't tell Combs about the relationship between Kid Cudi and Ventura. She testified. Combs demanded Clark go with him, saying, "Get dressed. We're going to go kill him," Clark testified. She tried to object when Combs said, "I don't give a fuck what you want to do. Go get dressed." And the two left for Kid Cudi's home, Clark said. The gun remained in Combs' lap on the drive while a security guard drove to Kid Cudi's home, Clark testified. Combs got out with the security guard and entered the home while Clark stayed in the car and called Ventura on a burner phone to tell her about Combs' plan and warned that Kid Cudi should not confront Combs, she said. Remember, this is the same incident Kid Cudi spoke about last week during his testimony. Combs, clo- Combs told Clark that she and Ventura needed to convince Kid Cudi to not tell police that Combs was involved in the break-in at Kid Cudi's home, Clark testified. Ooh, child. So it says she was a witness to violence. Clark remembered witnessing a time where she and a security guard stood by as Combs repeatedly kicked Ventura, she testified. Clark said Combs threatened to hurt her if she tried to stop him from hurting Ventura. After, after the security guard told Clark to leave, she called Ventura's mother and asked her to help her daughter, who was still on the ground getting kicked by Combs, Clark said. I can't call the police, but you can, Clark recalled telling Ventura's mother. So I know that was a lot I just went over, and we still have a lot to go over. So do we want to kind of pause for a minute to add some input, or I'm reading the comments? I want someone to put their hands on Diddy. He didn't get enough beat downs. Child, everyone doesn't need a fair trial. Execute him now. And 30 yards, who is he, Superman? Look, I think we're all shocked. Yeah. You know what? Don't put hands on him. Kill him. Wow. Well, I didn't say that, by the way. Allegedly, because those are not my words. So, all right. Well, let's get back to it. So it says that she's gotten email threats. The jury again saw the email Ventura sent Clark and her mother on December 23rd of 2011 under the alias Veronica Bang, referencing the threats from Combs to Ventura and Kid Cudi. About 50 verbal threats. After the events of late 2011, Combs would angrily ask Clark why she didn't tell him about Ventura's brief relationship with Kid Cudi. Clark testified. One time, Combs told her, I should kill you bitches and I should cut her face, Clark testified, estimating that she was threatened about 50 times between December 2011 and the following summer. And then there was a forbidden friendship. After the December 2011 incident, Combs told Clark that she couldn't be friends with Ventura. They could see each other for work, Clark said, noting that changed her relationship with Ventura. Clark testified that she hadn't spoken to Ventura since 2018. And it says, fired and threatened. Clark was fired after she went to work. Uh, Clark was fired after she was sent work while on vacation, she testified. So she told an HR employee that Combs was mad at her because she didn't tell him his girlfriend was cheating on him. Her employment was terminated shortly after that in August of 2012, Clark said, and she was accused of improperly taking vacation. After she was fired, Combs told her that I would never work again, that he would show me that all these people weren't my friends, and that he would make me kill myself, she testified. The former assistant received a settlement through Combs' attorney over wrongful termination allegations in the fall of 2012, but didn't say the amount on the stand. And lastly, it ends with says a platonic relationship. On cross examination, Clark testified that she met Combs around 2002 through a mutual friend shortly after she moved to New York City, saying her relationship with Combs was 1000% platonic. Clark said Combs took ecstasy in the early stages of their friendship, and his drug use increased over time. Okay, and it looks. Let me see if there's any updates. As of now, let me refresh the page. Okay. Yep, there has been one more update. It says Clark tested Combs in 2021, admitting past crush, doesn't recall details or his response. So Capricorn Clark, Sean Diddy, former employee, testified she text Combs in June of 2021. Did you ever know I had the biggest crush on you before I started to work for you? We hung out all the time. I played it super cool, she said. I don't think you knew. I just knew for sure that you liked to have me around. Clark testified she doesn't remember saying this to Combs, but recalled reaching out to him in 2021. It's unclear how Combs responded to the text. Okay, so I guess that's an attempt from the defense to try to paint it like, oh, maybe she's a jealous, scorned lover or something like that. That motherfucker is crazy. That motherfucker is crazy.
Nuts.
So, yeah, and Benji says, how scary. Yes, scary indeed, girl. So that looks like that's all the updates they have in this article for now. We will definitely keep y'all updated with on tomorrow's show. So that's that on that. Does anybody want to add anything about today's live updates?
She still has more testimony to give. I mean, it's early. It's no way it's over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, honey. Yeah, because she was like his assistant, and then from that time period, she was with him for a while. So I'm sure they're gonna have a lot of questions, and the defense gonna have a lot of cross examination, honey, trying to paint her like she crazy or she's a maybe a disgruntled employee or something like that, ex
Mm-hmm.
employee.
Wow.
Mm-mm.
It used to beat Cassie's ass for real.
For real. Stumping her and shit. And then could you imagine being something like your child and being a parent and your child, you getting a call from some random assistant saying, hey, I can't call the police. Your daughter is getting her ass beat right now, but I can't call the police, but you can. Like, could you imagine the mental turmoil that her
Mm-mm.
mom, like, oh my God.
Mm-mm. And knowing really there's not much you can do to help her because he's threatening you too. I mean,
Hmm.
what could she really do about it? That would be more hurtful, knowing you can't do anything about it. That was crazy.
Yep. I didn't know what I didn't know though is that Capricorn was going to tie in like the Kid Cudi incident, saying, "Okay, well, we rolled to his house and the security guard drove. He had the gun in his lap. He had every intention of killing Cudi." Was what I was getting from that statement. So I don't know how good this will be for the prosecutor because that's still not what physical proof, if you will. It's
Right.
still so.
Hearsay, yeah. But the fact that he thought about it, I guess he kind of maybe knew he couldn't get away with outright murder. Well, I wonder if Suge Knight was in jail by that time. Like maybe that what stopped him from actually, shooting that guy for real.
I don't know. I don't think so. When because Suge Knight. Let me see. When did Suge Knight go to jail? Oh, it says October 29th of 2014. So,
Well, he's been in there for a minute.
yeah, yeah, you might be right.
I mean, he knew he could get away with a lot of stuff, but outright murder, maybe he thought better of that. You know?
Hmm. Well, he already got away with for killing Biggie, allegedly.
Well,
Allegedly. Oh, did I say that out loud?
no, I didn't.
Allegedly, allegedly.
I didn't hear anything.
Okay. Well, where our next piece of tea. So this is still like Diddy adjacent because the next two stories, believe it or not, will be Diddy adjacent. So this next one we're about to watch like a and I'm sorry in advance, y'all. It is about a close to 5 minute interview, so we're gonna watch it all together. But Al B. Sure was on Good Day New York interviewing, and I'm sharing this link from All Hip Hop that pretty much summarizes everything. But we're just gonna hear it straight from both horses' mouths as we go through this story. But y'all see where it says Al B. Sure, Diddy and Kim Porter. Kim's friend rips into Al B. Sure for allegedly lying. So he pretty much talks about in his Good Day New York interview about how he's willing to testify. He does think Diddy maybe had something to do with Kim Porter dying and all of that. And he said he claims that he talked to her and something like that. So we're gonna see what he has to say about it first. Give me 1 second. Let me share my screen.
There's no hustle, there's no marketing, I'm living my truth, and it's time. So you were in that coma in 2022. You had the liver transplant, you had the tracheotomy, and all that stuff that went on.
Multi-system organ failure.
Yeah,
Wow,
right.
60.
Have they figured out what happened yet?
We will.
No, I mean, the doctors medically, like, what happened to you?
Yeah, so
Because you just collapsed, right?
yeah, so just mysteriously out of the blue, which we do talk about in the book.
Yes,
What that
I want to get into that.
what that process is, but yeah, so it's been quite a journey, and as I said, even as it relates to writing the book, I went through many, almost more than a decade of being scrutinized and clowned by law enforcement, them telling me, you need some help. Sex trafficking? Really? What's wrong with you? No way. Just what, not realizing that they were also working for the situation.
Because you were hinting, saying,
posting. Yeah, I get calls, take it down, or else, so on and so forth.
But this is about Diddy, so let's be clear for everybody that doesn't know.
Diddy, who's about to, his trial's about to start. Yeah, yes. They're selecting a jury.
But you were on this train years ago.
Yes, many, many years ago. I posted some information that was, basically trying to save my life. And thank goodness to my ex, the wonderful Kim Porter, the late Kim Porter, who, kind of warned me all along the way to, just kind of watch your back, so on and so forth. And I didn't understand
why. Because of Diddy.
Basically.
Do you believe that she died of pneumonia?
Absolutely not.
Why? What evidence do you have?
She was in the best of health. We just saw each other prior to her passing. We were actually celebrating our son's new Netflix Christmas special, and she was doing just fine. In fact, we were all at the event together at Netflix in the lobby. Sean, myself, the children, all having a great time. And I'm, grabbing Sean like, well, and she's in the back going, stop, So it was a really festive opportunity just for all of us to be together, because it's nothing like the circus that's out here. So it was a lot of the stuff, came to surprise, but a lot of the stuff will be revealed and that's why I thought it would be a good idea to finally tell my story. Every network came to me, participate in so and so, but I said, listen, I have no interest in speaking about another man.
But you are in the book.
Yeah, right. But this, I will speak about where our paths cross and which is most relevant, and something I've been trying to say for many, many years. And unfortunately, Roseanne, even with Sean being incarcerated, that's not a celebration. There's no celebration in it. First and foremost, there's way too much collateral damage, and in many, many ways. Many people's lives are affected. And in fact, a genre of music that I grew up in is ruined right now.
You're blaming Diddy for that?
I'm blaming this entire industry and the way it's gone. And, there's no one person that's in charge, but this level and this magnitude of a story of detriment, of diabolical, just heinous, whatever's really going on. It's unfortunate.
Is Diddy suing you or threatening to sue you?
No.
No?
I have the truth.
But one thing is, you have volunteered to testify at the trial, correct?
Not as of yet. Actually, I was subpoenaed.
Okay.
So my attorneys worked something out. So I believe when the time is right, I'm going to discuss it with my attorneys.
But you're willing to?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, I am. And again, there's no, like I said, this is not marketing for me. I'm living this life. And the only reason I wanted to tell the story, Kurt, was very specifically because I was ignored. There was the most expensive PR campaign against me to shut me down. If you actually knew what they did to me, there was a bounty on my head. There was a bunch of stuff.
So do you think specifically then that Sean Diddy Combs or people affiliated with him did something to you that caused you to have multi-organ failure?
I believe this to be the case, yes. Absolutely.
Wow.
My first time saying it.
Are you concerned that he still has power outside of incarceration?
Remember, I'm the only one who spoke up, and I'm the only one left alive. There's no hustle. There's no market.
Baby, did y'all hear him? He said a lot of important things, honey, in that short amount. So I agree with y'all. Yes, those interviewers were very terrible. But woo, honey, he was letting that chopper sing, honey. So now, before I play Kim Porter's friend's response, did anybody want to add anything to what he said?
Ooh. He said a lot, honey.
A lot. Well, Kim's friend said that he is a bold-faced lie. And let me
What?
just share my screen. Because she actually went on TMZ to tell her to speak her truth.
Okay.
So we're gonna see what she says. Give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. Let me,
All of us.
Albie Shore, right before the trial started, did an interview.
sorry, y'all. Let me refresh so that way we can see all of what she's saying.
Did all of us together.
Albie Shore, right before the trial started, did an interview where he pointed the finger pretty clearly at Diddy, claiming that he had something to do with Kim's death. And I know that's got to be upsetting. As you said, the girls got through that.
Let me be very clear on Kim's passing. That nobody but her closest friends and our children were there. To speak so recklessly on stuff that you know nothing about. You saw that woman 2 months before for an hour. You were not friends. You did not have a discussion, is wrong. Is wrong to her children, wrong to her family. Her father is still alive, is wrong to us, her friends who have been there and were there. And we did, all of us together.
So yeah, she says that he is doing he's being very disrespectful to her family, her friends, and her kids by say. But I don't know, y'all.
Well,
but why was it wrong? Exactly.
well. Now, if the time frame is correct, what she says, 2 months that he saw her, and she was perfectly healthy. Um, Pneumonia can kill you. Let's be clear about that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, pneumonia can make you very sick. Most people get a respiratory infection, the flu, whatever, and they do better. But once you get pneumonia, that's an elevation of whatever it started with. That's a escalation. So she could have died from pneumonia after he saw her. Just because she was healthy 2 months before doesn't really mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it can kill you quickly depending on how fast it spreads and how what they call virulent it is, how strong it is. Yeah, so I, I I think he was a little probably um, forward in saying that he thinks Diddy had something to do with that because he has absolutely no proof of that, no proof.
Yeah.
So I really think he opened himself up to litigation. I mean, if Diddy wasn't going through a trial right now, he would need a lawyer. Basically, I just think it was a bit much of him to say that. He could say I've heard rumors of that or I don't know, but to say that he saw her and then she died, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, and like you said, he's opening himself up to because I think well, first let's see how his because he said he was subpoenaed and eventually probably will go and speak on the stand. But him saying that he believes that Diddy had something to do with his coma as well. And now, because do you think like he has any proof of that? Probably not.
No, he
So,
doesn't have any proof of that. He just said he thinks that. Now he didn't say,
mhm,
but he did say absolutely, like he's sure of it. But
right.
what proof do you have? Yeah, your life may have been threatened. They may have told you to take down posts and whatever, but um, yeah, that just could have been a coincidental thing that he got so sick. So that's all really speculation on his part. Bold speculation, but speculation nonetheless. Unless he's got some kind of proof that he didn't mention. Unless the doctors found some kind of substance in his blood or something that wasn't supposed to be there, you know,
Hmm.
without any kind of proof, I just say he's speculating.
Yeah. Go ahead, favorite Taurus.
So I'm a bit conflicted about the whole thing. Like with this interview and others of folks who have had close dealings with Tootsie Roll, like they have information, but they want to profit off of it in a book, even though it's helpful to the trial. I, I understand this is a hot button topic at the moment, and yes, you, aka I'll be sure, and others may have had piping hot tea, not Auntie's tea, of course. But you have all this information that is so important and so telling, but you're going to reserve it for a publication where you're going to get paid as, without, but not testifying your subpoena. It just, yeah, this is not the time or the place to try to make a quick point. And yeah, that's all I'll say about that. It's just very weird to me. Oh, I'm saving that for the book. We have Charles Bell right now, and who's to say people are going to buy that fucking book anyway?
It's in the book.
It's in the book.
I'm definitely not buying that book.
Really, like I don't. It just grinds on my gears. I don't understand it. Like if you have a story that's important, tell it to the folks that will help. That's going to benefit the case or get the result that you want, or that would be in alignment with the crimes that he committed. Otherwise, like essentially, either you share or you get off the pod. I don't want to see you on somebody's local news network talk about it's in the book. Fuck out of here.
Right.
Well, Will, I hear you, but it's in the book. Let me start. And we have a comment that says, "Spill the tea, big booty Will."
Don't you start with me, BB.
Well, does
kind of disingenuous. It's in the book.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, if they subpoena him, I would be very surprised if he repeat those same statements on the stand, because I'm sure the lawyers are going to tell him, no, you cannot say that without any proof whatsoever. What you think is not on acceptable here. It's facts, baby.
And did y'all hear like maybe it had something to do with the coma he just got? Because I'm happy that that he didn't die and he's still here with us. But you see how he could barely even talk. Like, yeah, I don't celebrate Diddy being locked up.
He did seem a little out of breath.
He's still fine though, honey. And says I'll be sure is impressively kind in person. I wasn't a fan of his in the 80s. Wow. Go ahead, favorite Taurus.
Okay. But that's been speculation for a while. I'm not sure if anyone here has heard about that. There were rumblings like, it's kind of suspicious how all this stuff is going on. All of a sudden, Albie Shore is in a coma somewhere, and the close proximity to that person. It's getting really fishy. And of course, we don't have concrete proof, so everything we say is alleged. It's just very coincidental how those things happen around the same time.
No, and Jaguar Wright like pointed it out a long time ago. Now I know she's not the the best person to use for this argument, but I mean she has been consistent, and she said, "Look, y'all, 1+1 is 2. There were this number of people that were involved in the creation of Uptown Records, and now only 2 of those people are alive today, which happens to be Diddy and Albie Shore. So, I mean, again, 1+1 is 2, allegedly." So, child, she has the mental capacity of a grapefruit. Oh, I love grapefruit. I just can't have, that's not good when you're taking medications and stuff. So, go ahead, favorite Taurus.
I might be in the minority. Well, I have a trash take, but Auntie can't judge me because he has terrible ones. But I actually really enjoy Jaguar Wright. She might be 3 sheets to the wind, but she is wildly entertaining. And some of the stuff that she says has been accurate, but also the majority of stuff that she has stated in these interviews have come to pass. So, I mean, people love to call you crazy until you're right. So, if this is if there's a way for her to get vindication, if that's even something that she seeks, I think people should consider taking her more seriously, in the future.
I concur, and we have a they say that Delusions album wasn't bad. Oh, good to hear. I haven't heard it. I agree. She has been right about a lot. That's how they do all everybody, honey. Anybody who be telling some shit that don't nobody want to hear, they always dismiss them as crazy until the shit is found out to be true. So, and I think that's what's going to happen in Jaguar's case. Well, honey, speaking of some crazy shit, let's talk about some more Diddy adjacent news, honey. Have y'all heard about Q and Don Rashad? And not for the reasons we think. Remember, they was like the it when we was watching Making the Band. They was the it couple, honey. Not no more. Woo, honey. Let me share this link from Vibe, honey, because Vibe pretty much summarizes it. He let the truth out. Did he though? Did he though? We'll talk. So I just shared this link from Vibe. Don Rashad says XQ Mosley's drug allegations is categorically false. So following Don Rashad's court testimony against Sean Diddy Combs, her ex-boyfriend, Quanell Q. Mosley, came forward to accuse her of drugging him at a party held at Diddy's Hampton home. She since denied the Day 26's star's claims in a now deleted tweet. Shared on Sunday, May 25th, the former Danity Kane Dirty Money member wrote, I want to be unequivocally clear. I have never drugged anyone, nor have I ever given anyone pills to take. The suggestion that I did so is categorically false. If such a belief were genuine, it would be inconsistent with the actions that followed, such as inviting me into your home, introducing me to your younger sisters and family, and continuing a relationship with me. She shared that during their relationship and even post breakup, she chose to honor their privacy in an effort to protect him, as well as out of respect for Mosley and his family. Her statement concluded by acknowledging that this situation is not about one person, but reflect broader harm that has affected many. Rashad hopes that healing and wholeness are possible for all involved, and expressed that she prays others can move forward with compassion and integrity. Mosley accused Rashad of giving him an ecstasy pill from Combs during a conversation with Amy Robach and TJ Holmes and Aubrey O'Day. At around the 7-minute mark, he recalled taking the drugs, allegedly blacking out, and woke up screaming in Diddy's twin daughter's bedroom as he was being filmed. It felt very sacrificial, he said tearfully, like they were trying to hurt me, or Diddy was trying to maybe sacrifice me that night. Ciao. Okay. Now, was there some weird shit going on? Possibly. Were they taking maybe Molly or ecstasy and maybe Don gave him one? Maybe. But the fact that he said he blacked out and woke up and he thought he was being sacrificed in his daughter's room. So he thought that Diddy was going to have the housekeepers clean up all that blood and stuff if he was going to be a human sacrifice. He thought he was going to be sacrificed in his twin daughter's rooms. I don't put anything past these people. Oh, okay, you got a point. Touche. But yeah, and I was actually waiting for him to maybe say something else after her response, but he hasn't said anything as of yet. So everything that is coming out in this trial is left field. Mm-hmm.
Maybe she did hand him a pill, but intentionally drugging him to this point is just he did a reach on that one, because maybe they were all doing drugs and pills were there. She's like, here, I'm taking the ecstasy. You want one? Yeah, that's no. Go ahead, Will.
I'm conflicted about this because on one hand, it is unfortunately very atypical for a Black man in Western society to come out and express the ways that they were harmed at the hands of another person because of the guilt and the shame. So for that, I applaud him if indeed that did happen to him. Of course, I can't say whether or not I wasn't there. At the same time, I really find it to be very irresponsible on the parts of the folks who are running that show. Like you're gonna drop a bombshell of something that they haven't seen proof of, or he may not have presented the truth of it to be true. And I find that to be a little questionable. And I try to take my feelings out of it because I am a fan of Dawn. Of course, she's everything. So, but in the event that it did happen, I hope he gets vindication. And in the event that it didn't happen, I hope, excuse me, that Dawn is able to clear her name. Because these are some very strong allegations. If anything, if y'all remember everything that happened on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, I know it doesn't equate to the same thing, but just for those who are not familiar with this type of thing and we've watched that show, you can understand the severity of what she's being accused of, and
Mm-hmm.
that could really stop her bag, and she is an independent artist. So, oof, I hope he lawyered up and prepared in the event that she decided to pursue legal um, legal counsel for being accused of this.
Yep, and you were right, honey. The people that started this interview, T.J. Holmes and Amy Robach, so we already know where their morality lies. Let's wake that up. But yeah, so and like just like you, I'm agreeing with you. If this is true, I certainly hope he is vindicated and he gets justice. But if it's not, he ought to be ashamed of himself. He said, "Let me step out of this convo because Phaedra." Ooh. A mess.
It would be remiss of us to leave out Aubrey O'Day as well, because she is working with those two and covering the Diddy trial. And that was another like, oh, I can't talk too much. It's going to be on a series soon. Like, okay, all right, okay. So the whole thing at that point, I was rocking to it up until that point. Now it's starting to bring things into question. Like what is the real agenda here? What are the intentions here? What are all three of them looking to get out of covering the trial? Is it nefarious? Is it genuine? Only time will tell. But of course, I never want to question um, the how someone who has stated they were abused and has proof of that, and how they navigate the situation, because it's far too complex for anyone to comprehend. So,
Yep, you're absolutely right. Well, does anyone want to add anything else to Dawn or Q before we go to the next story? Well, this next story, it won't be we won't spend too much time on it because remember I didn't really watch the AMAs last night, but Kaylani is still talking her shit, and she is still where people are not really saying free Palestine on public platforms. She still is, and you know what? I appreciate it because we need more of that. So we're just gonna kind of watch her say when she was on the AMA's red carpet, and let me share my screen. And she pretty much says that artists could take a trick from her book and speak up more. Y'all don't realize the power that y'all have. So let me refresh so we can start from the beginning. And it's only about not even a minute long, this video. Oops, sorry.
Out about Gaza. Why is that so important?
Because it shouldn't be a hard thing. It shouldn't be a hard thing. It shouldn't be something that I'm even looked at so massively for. It shouldn't be something I'm credited for. This should be second nature if people are blowing up and being murdered at mass rates. It should be it should be as easy as breathing to just say, hey, I don't really think this should be happening. This shouldn't be happening. Maybe we should stop. And we're funding it, so we should stop.
You think more people in entertainment should be speaking out on the issue?
Yeah, I said it a bunch. I definitely think we have more power than we think, and everything's stronger in numbers. And I think that that's something that, hopefully people understand at some point. But all I can say is free Palestine.
On a serious note, you speak out about Gaza.
She ate that. And she is absolutely right.
She did.
It should be like, it shouldn't be so controversial to say, I don't think people should be killed. Like, so
Well, you know why?
that's that on that.
Because Jewish people are very powerful in the industry that she's in, music, film. I mean, this is the main
Mm-hmm.
reason I think they don't speak up. It's because it would affect their bottom line. Look how they canceled her concert because of it. So there's a reason that they don't. I just think it's kind of screwed up. I think maybe if more of them did it, then they'd have
Mm-hmm.
more power in numbers. But yeah, go ahead, Will.
I can understand it, and then I don't at the same time. It is so unfortunate that folks are willing to put humanity to the side just so that they can make a coin.
Yeah,
It's very disappointing to me, especially in that particular industry. It's like folks can't really, well, I don't have any direct visibility to that industry, was how you have to kind of cover it and shield yourself and not really be true to what you think or what you feel just to be profitable. I can only imagine like what potential mental toll that has on a person over time, and I can see how many of them go crazy because it's like what's real and what's not real. I've been living this life for so long, and all of a sudden now it's the sky is purple. So, but that's a Taurus queen, of course. So naturally, she's gonna stand on business every single time. Fuck what everybody else has to say, and
Yeah.
I understand.
and you got
Well,
so
we
many.
need more Taurus queens like that. I tell you.
A lot of people drop out of the industry because they don't want to deal with it. You know, artists who we wonder why they're not making music anymore. Hmm.
Well, honey. Well, speaking of, well, does anybody want to add anything before we go to the next story? Because speaking about problematic industry people, honey. So, have y'all been following what's been going on with Africa Bombada? This
No,
story has actually been going on for quite some time now, but remember, he was actually accused of sexually assaulting young boys. Have
I
y'all
remember
heard that?
that. Yeah, I remember that. Yes.
Well, just recently, honey, he just lost a civil case.
Uh-oh.
And we about to talk about it. So I just shared this link from The Guardian, and y'all see here, hip hop pioneer Africa Bombada loses civil case suing him for child sexual abuse. Girl, and this story is messy, honey. So hip hop pioneer African Bombada has lost a civil case suing him for child sexual abuse and trafficking after failing to show up in court. In 2021, the anonymous plaintiff alleged that the DJ and producer sexually abused and trafficked him for 4 years, beginning in 1991 when he was 12 and Bombada was 33 or 34 years old. Bombada, born Lance Taylor, has never responded to these specific allegations, Rolling Stone reports. The Guardian has contacted representative for Bombada for comment. Judge Alexander M. Tisch granted the plaintiff a default judgment without opposition in New York State Supreme Court. Bombada has faced numerous allegations of molesting boys. In 2016, the Democratic Party activist and former music industry executive Ronald Savage alleged that Bombada had repeatedly abused him in 1980 when he was 15 and Bombada was 23. In 2024, though, he recanted his allegations, saying that he met Bombada at a club. He had used a fake ID to enter. Bombada is not a pedophile, and in my eyes, he was doing something that was consensual with someone he thought was of age, he told All Hip Hop. I wish back in 2016 I remembered about the fake ID. At the time, the allegations prompted more alleged victims to come forward, with Rolling Stone reporting that 12 men in total, not including Savage, have accused Bombada of sexual impropriety. A man claiming to be a former bodyguard from Bombada, and forgive me if I mispronounce his name, but it's that Shamsuddin Sharif Ali Bey, said, I walked in on stuff where I say, what the fuck is going on? He travels with late teens. Those are the ones he takes overseas with him. When I went with him on tour in the States, I would stay in one room and he would have boys in the room with him. The musician denied all allegations in a 2016 interview with Fox 5 News, but left his position as the head of his Universal Zulu Nation organization. I never abused nobody. It just sounds crazy for people to say that, to hear you abuse me. All my people back then. The hundreds of people that been around me. If something like that happened, why you ain't never went to none of them? Alongside DJ Kool Herc, Bombada was one of the originators of hip hop and began throwing block parties in the South Bronx in the 1970s. So, woo child, messy, 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 messy. So now the one of the accusers said, "Oh yeah, he did mess around with me when I was younger, but then recanted years later, saying, "Oh well, I forgot about the fake ID." No, I'm not here to victim blame or victim shame, but girl, how you forget that detail? Like, how did you forget that one little detail? So now if you were raped, and that's one thing, but you're saying that y'all had consensual sex, and he's not a pedophile after you were saying that you were raped and you were underage. You know what I mean? It's just kind of. But I mean, I'm glad these other boys are speaking their truth. Now we haven't heard anything else about the other 12 who came out, but I just know he lost this civil case here, and only because his ass didn't show up in court though to fight his name. So that's that on that, honey.
Yeah, it looks kind of bad for him.
Mm-hmm.
Guess he didn't want to answer questions. But hmm.
Does anybody want to add anything about Africa Mambata before we go to the next story? All right, well, this next story, y'all. Are y'all familiar with Mary Lou Retton?
Yes.
Why her ass got arrested for a DUI? It's
Strolled
not
off.
funny.
Strolled off for real.
Girl, what are you doing? So I just shared this link from People. Mary Lou Retton arrested on DUI charge in West Virginia. Do you know how wild you got to be, honey, to get arrested for being white in West Virginia? Let me stop. Anyway.
Not white.
Mary Lou Retton was arrested on a DUI charge early this month in Marion County, West Virginia, according to court reports reviewed by People. According to court records from the West Virginia Magistrate Court System, Retton, who's 57, was arrested on Saturday, May 17th, on one count of driving under influence of alcohol, controlled substances, or drugs, and penalties. The Olympian was issued a personal recognizance bond of $1,500, which she posted the same day. People have reached out to Retton representatives for comment. Her daughter, McKenna Kelly, announced that she was hospitalized in 2023 in a post on her Instagram, which included a link to a Spot Fund page. Well, we really don't care about that. So we don't care about her getting sorry that happened, but we here to talk about DUI girl. What was you doing? Says Retton is the first American woman to win a gold medal in individual all-around gymnastics. And her arrest comes nearly 2 years after she was in the ICU with a rare form of pneumonia. So they're going to say it's the rare form of pneumonia that caused her to drink and drive. Okay, girl. That's that on that. Does anybody want to add anything? I'll add one last thing. Don't drink and drive. It's too many resources. Like, it's too much Uber, Lyfts around here. A friend you could ask. Do not drink and get behind that wheel. That should be a crime punishable by immediate and painful death. Ooh, well, well, I would say maybe some jail time, but not death. Damn, you strict, honey. That's them Libras strict. Well, y'all, this next story, honey. I was referring to DUI. Okay. Well, this next story, y'all. What is the tea? The Broadway girls are fighting, honey. What the hell is going on? Child, I'm sharing this link from People. So, Patty LuPone says Audra McDonald is not a friend anymore after backstage controversy. And not only is It's Audra into it. They done put Keisha Lewis in it as well. But anyway, we'll talk. So Patti LuPone isn't mincing words when it comes to where she stands with fellow Broadway icon Audra McDonald. In a New Yorker profile published Monday, May 26th, to promote her upcoming guest spot in And Just Like That, LuPone made it clear the two no longer have a positive relationship, telling interviewer Michael Schulman that McDonald is not a friend. Though LuPone, who's 76, did not elaborate on the history of their falling out, she told the outlet it was a long ago rift. When asked what she thought of McDonald's current turn as Rose in Gypsy, LuPone, who won a Tony for playing the same role in 2008 in a 2008 production, reportedly stared in silence for 15 seconds before turning to the window and sighing, "What a beautiful day." I'm sorry. McDonald, who's 54, received her record-making 11th Tony nomination for Gypsy, becoming the most nominated performer of all time. The actress already holds the records for wins with 6 Tonys. LuPone has 3. She and LuPone have worked together in the past, performing in concerts, galas, and the 2007 LA opera production of Rise and Fall of the City of Mahogany. They also co-starred in the 2000 New York's Philharmonic concert version of Sweeney Todd's The Demon Barber of Fleet Street, with LuPone as Mrs. Lovett and McDonald as the beggar woman. The topic of their friendship came up in the New Yorker piece when Schulman asked LuPone about the conflict she had late last year with another Broadway diva, Keisha Lewis. The Hell's Kitchen star had posted a video to Instagram criticizing LuPone for calling the Alicia Keys musical too loud. Remarks that Lewis dubbed bullying, offensive, and racially microaggressive, rude, and rooted in privilege. At the time, LuPone was starring opposite Mia Farrow in the play The Roommate and had been complaining about hearing the Hell's Kitchen sound cues through the wall the two buildings shared. LuPone didn't hold back asked, when asked about Lewis's post. She calls herself a veteran. Let's find out how many Broadway shows Keisha Lewis has done, because she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about, she said. She's done 7. I've done 31. Don't call yourself a vet, bitch. As Schulman pointed out, Lewis, who was in the original Broadway company of Dreamgirls, actually had 10 Broadway credits, and LuPone has 28. But when told that McDonald had responded to the video with supportive emojis, LuPone's reaction was equally pointed. "Exactly," she said, "and I thought you should know better. That's typical of Audra." People reached out to McDonald's reps for comment. The George C. Wolfe revival of Gypsy marks the first time the character of Rose has been played on Broadway by a black actress. Tickets for the musical are now on sale. Though LuPone has stayed silent about that production, she has praised another revival this season of a musical she formerly starred in, Jamie Lloyd's production of Sunset Boulevard, starring Nicole Scherzinger. "I love this production," she said back in December in a voice message to New York One's Frank DeLayla shared on his social media account. "The lighting, the use of the filming was something that I questioned because I don't know where I am. Am I at a movie or am I at a theater? This worked brilliantly. The whole thing, LuPone said. I was energized when I left the theater. I loved it." Well, she won't be saying that about Audra's version of Gypsy, I'm sure. So, but what the hell is that? So it looks like LuPone is the problem, quiet as it's kept. So go ahead, favorite Taurus.
This isn't uncommon for Patti LuPone. She's been known to be such a fucking hater to anyone that's more successful than her. I recall explicitly, like, she was actually introducing Audra McDonald for an award, and she essentially said that Audra wins a Tony every time she leaves the house, whereas Patti LuPone had to wait 28 years to get her second one. So just saying. So of course, like, whenever someone is more successful, I have noticed that Patti LuPone has been a little salty about it. And the thing is, like, she's done how many shows? 31 Broadway shows. How I know this, I have no idea. Don't ask. But she's done 31 Broadway shows in her long ass career. You would think that at a certain point, those nerves of insecurity or feeling insecure would subside because she's now the legend of the Broadway stage. The singing is questionable. It's always been questionable, but she's been acting on these stages for so long. It's just very weird behavior. How she would hate on someone so successful like Audra, and it does reek of anti-blackness, I have to say. And this is the same person that said that she couldn't see herself living such a hateful life, but here she is hating.
Yep, you're right.
It's
Now,
very
I don't know about that her sing because she does sing down. I don't know about it being
mm,
questionable.
mm, 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 mm.
And we have a comment. She's always the problem. And then another one says, "Fuck Toucan Sam." Oh my God. Well, that's that on that. Does anybody want to add anything about hating ass Patty LaPone before we go to the next stories? All right, well, I got three more stories left. This next one, honey, UMG just stay getting sued, honey. I say, don't it seem like every other day we're reading about somebody is suing UMG?
Another one?
Another one, honey. And this was a producer by the name of Diesel who worked on Lil Wayne's The Carter 3 album. So I just shared this link from All Hip Hop. Y'all see where it says Lil Wayne producer hits UMG, with $3 million lawsuit over the Carter 3 royalties. So Lil Wayne producer Darius Diesel Harrison is taking legal action against Universal Music Group, UMG, in Los Angeles over more than $3 million in unpaid royalties tied to his production work on Weezy's Grammy-winning album, The Carter 3, and Birdman's Fast Money. The Grammy winner producer filed a lawsuit claiming UMG hasn't paid him a dime in over 10 years, despite his credited work on hit records like Lollipop, Mrs. Officer, and Let the Beat Build. According to the complaint, Diesel is owed a 4% royalty rate for each track he produced on the Carter 3 and 3% for his contributions on Fast Money. Um, plaintiffs have not been paid any producer royalties associated with the YME, I think that stands for Young Money Entertainment producer, or CMR producer agreement for over a decade. Attorney Christopher L. Brown wrote in the filing per Billboard. Diesel previously sued Lil Wayne, Cash Money, and Young Money in 2011 over the same royalty issues. The case was settled in 2012, but the new complaint alleges UMG quietly stopped payments shortly after the agreement was reached. The lawsuit also claims that UMG continues to benefit from the commercial success of the songs without honoring its contractual obligations. The recordings in questions are fully recouped, and over $3 million is owed to the plaintiffs, the suit says. Diesel's case adds to a growing list of royalty disputes involving UMG. In recent months, artists like Salt and Pepper have also taken legal steps against the music giants over unpaid earnings. The Carter 3, released on June 10th in 2008, was a commercial juggernaut. The album debuted at number one on the Billboard 200, moved over 1 million units in its first week, and became the best-selling album of that year in the U.S. It has since been certified 6 times platinum by the RIAA. So yeah, y'all better pay this man his money.
It sounds like they need to be on an episode of American Greed because what's really going on here?
They being greedy.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, Will.
So I did look into this a bit further because I was like, why the fuck is UMG in the news so fucking much? So as it turns out, UMG either owns or has like a joint share in so many different labels. It's insane. It's like the majority of like the major record labels are owned or in joint share with UMG. So I definitely think there's like an additional layer to the conversations as well. Because of course, right, UMG owns these labels, but they're not many of these articles, most of them are not calling out the actual article, the labels themselves, they're just saying UMG. So there's a layer of complexity that they're not talking about. So
Okay.
And it says, but its managers probably sold the rights and licenses. I knew how powerful UMG was, honey. Y'all remember that? When was it? Like maybe a couple of years ago, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, when TikTok. It was a big thing on TikTok when a lot of them couldn't use their favorite songs because their videos were getting taken down, all because of UMG said, "No, ma'am, not our catalog."
Oh, okay.
It's damn near a monopoly. It's
Mhm.
scary how much they own.
Well, at
It's
this point,
crazy.
if they're, it sounds like they the big dog.
Yeah, yeah, and of course, when you have partnerships that large, naturally, there's some things are going to get slipped through the cracks. So I'm glad that these artists are kind of taking things into the artists and producers and the writers, I should say, are taking matters in their hands so that they are getting their just due because they're obviously getting overlooked when it comes to things as important as royalties or what have you. So
And maybe UMG is the one getting sued, even though it may be a umbrella company. Is they have the
Mhm.
deepest pockets because that's
yeah,
what lawyers go after. you
yeah,
know.
UMG is the head. And
Yeah.
everybody and all these laborers are underneath it. So
Hmm.
He
Hmm.
said there are catalogs and tracks. This is my world right now. I deal with all the income for these. Woo, child. I know you busy. Woo, girl. Well, before we go to our last couple of stories, does anybody want to add anything else?
Going to be interesting to see how they fight off all of these, and if more don't come out.
Mm-hmm. Look, Hammock said no.
We don't care about rich people, huh, Amy?
Okay. Well,
Rich.
y'all, this next story, y'all remember we talked about Kevin Liles not too long ago, and a Jane Doe was suing him for uh being inappropriate for sexually assaulting her.
This is a very
Now,
common trope
baby,
here. I'm just so tired of hearing it for women. Oh my God.
baby, and now, so now what he's trying to do, it looks like he's trying to get out ahead of another story because I'm sharing this link from All Hip Hop. And you see where it says Kevin Liles exposed alleged $30 million extortion plot by former Def Jam rapper Lady Luck. So Kevin Liles attempted to get ahead of a looming sexual assault allegation Tuesday, May 27th, by releasing a statement accusing Lady Luck of trying to extort him for $30 million. The longtime music executive said he received a letter from Chanel Jones, known professionally as Lady Luck, and her attorneys demanding a multi-million-dollar payout or she would publish a book and file a lawsuit accusing him of sexual misconduct. Lady Luck allegedly threatened to claim that Lyles groomed her 26 years ago, exposed himself, and pressured her into oral sex while she was in his car, excuse me. Lyles flatly denied the accusations and described them as a calculated attempt to damage his name. He even launched a website using Lady Luck's name, ladylucksonwords.com, to combat the claims. In addition to her social media posts, Lyles and his team also decided to publish Lady Luck's criminal records. None of this ever happened, Lyles wrote. Her threatened allegations are totally false, and they are contradicted by Miss Jones' many public statements about me and her experience at Def Jam. Rather than pay her and her legal team, I am publicly addressing what I view to be an extortion attempt. Lau said that he signed Jones to Def Jams in 1999 and gave her opportunities to build a hip hop career. He said her career didn't meet expectations and she was eventually dropped from the label. He pointed to her criminal history, including felony convictions for armed robbery and heroin distribution, and said she has publicly admitted to criminal behavior in interviews. Despite her past, Lau said he continued to support her when asked, including helping her as recently as last year. Lau cited past interviews and social media posts in which Jones praised him, referred to him as a mentor, and maintained a close relationship with his family. He also referenced her comments in podcasts from 2016, 2022, and 2023, where she denied any inappropriate sexual interactions with older men, which he said contradicted her current claims. Lyle said he believes Jones is motivated by money and frustration over her stalled career. Regardless of my empathy for Miss Jones, I will not be extorted, nor will I pay a dollar to those that threaten to ruin my reputation or the legacy I intend to leave, the culture I've spent my life serving, Lyle said. Kevin Lyle said he became concerned after seeing Jones appear intoxicated during recent media appearances where she discussed drug use and unusual spiritual beliefs. Lau said his legal team will handle the situation and he plans to continue his work in the community despite the emotional toll of the accusations. He's also facing a separate civil lawsuit filed in 2025 by Jane Doe, which we just talked about, who accuses him of sexual assault and harassment between 2000 and 2002. The case also names Universal Music Group and Def Jams as defendants. The defense argues that claims are too old and were previously settled, while the plaintiff cites a New York law that temporarily allows old claims to be filed. Motions to dismiss are pending. So that kind of goes hand in hand with what Will was talking about because UMG is so large, like even they are being named in Lady Luck's lawsuit. So and she was signed to Def Jam. So would be curious what that future untold Netflix doc on Kevin Liles and Chris Jenner would reveal. Well, that's that on that, honey. I'm sure we have not heard the last about this, and I think this is probably going to get messy because what he did to me, all this looked just like deflection to me. Oh well, look what she's trying to get me for money, but look at what she did. Look at her criminal history. She was arrested for armed robbery and she sold heroin. Okay, well does that mean that because she did that she can't be sexually assaulted by you? I don't get what you were trying to do, but okay. Like, does anybody want to add anything before we go to the last story? Hammy said no. Well, honey, our last story. So, LA, y'all favorite abuser, helped to open up that school in Compton. And one thing I say, LA, honey, y'all love celebrating some Dr. Dre, don't you? I tell you that. So anyway, I just shared a link from Hot New Hip Hop. Dr. Dre attends opening of new $200 million Compton High School campus. And it shows that he donated $10 million so that this school in Compton could happen. We're just gonna watch a couple of videos of him talking about it because I don't want to really spend too much time on him. I am not a fan of this man. So give me 1 second. Let me go to the Twitter page that has these videos. Okay, so let's watch the first one. Ooh, where's the sound? Okay.
Amazing. This is unbelievable. I was a kid. Come in here. Actually, my rival high school. I went to Centennial, and I never would have imagined this would be happening right now. Amazing.
Okay, that's one. And here's the other video.
When I attended the groundbreaking ceremony, this was just an empty dirt lot. Now,
sorry.
When I attended the groundbreaking ceremony, this was just an empty dirt lot. Now, today, the new Compton High School and Performing Arts Center is a world-class educational facility.
The new high school will hold some 2,000 students and include a new gym, aquatic center, football stadium, and a new performing arts center that Dre donated $10 million to help build.
Today, we celebrate the fulfillment of a promise, a vision brought to life through years of determination, collaboration, and unshakable belief in the potential of our young people.
I've said this before, Compton is a breeding ground for talent. There's something in the soil here. There's something special about growing up here.
I'm excited to welcome you into our new campus the same way I was welcomed years ago. Though I am graduating and super jealous to not be studying here myself. I mean, they have over a 12-foot pool. Okay, I wish I could study here myself.
Dre says,
A 12-foot pool, huh?
Why they gotta have a big picture of his ass?
Listen, Baby, he talking about some Compton is a breeding place for talent, and it's also a breeding place for abuse apologists, honey. Clearly, because the fact that they got this man like in a mural, like at this school where young girls go, is I know Michelle honey just sitting at home watching this shit on TV, like this motherfucker. Like, oh my god, I'm sorry. Like, no disrespect to LA, but kind of a little bit. Y'all really have to get it together because this shit is crazy.
Yeah, you don't
Go
see
ahead, favorite
pictures
tourist.
like that when
Oh,
people
sorry, boo.
donate money, to a building. You don't see their pictures on the building. You just don't. This narcissistic ass bullshit here is crazy. Go ahead, Will.
Yeah, money. LA does indeed like to rep its icons. He's considered an icon in not only hip hop but music in general. And I was also going to bring up not only Michelle, but didn't he choke out a reporter back in the '90s? In like,
D Barnes, he sure did.
that's right. I thought about okay, but here we are.
Well, he can try that shit over here if he wants to, honey. I will drag Dr. Dre's ass from Compton to all the way to North Carolina. He really don't want that kind of smoke.
Well,
You
Auntie, don't
better
you,
stick to
well,
the women and the lakes that you used to.
well, don't you like being choked, Auntie?
That's not the point, Will.
Oh, okay, okay, sorry.
Now, if he wasn't an abusive asshole, then yes, he could choke me all day. But no, this man, he that mm-mm, mm-mm.
And
And the
been
fact that they
rewarded the
got him,
whole way.
yes, they got him speaking, they got him on the news and stuff. Like it's oh my god, mm. He said clock it wagon. Shut up, hammock. Well, y'all, that was all the tea that I had for us today. So before we head out and before I go watch my stories, did any of you have any tea that you wanted to share? Any tea I might have missed? All right, y'all. Well, thank you for taking time out of your busy day to come and sip tea with me. Do not forget to hit up our email at auntie@auntiederek.com. We will be back tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time if you can make it. And until then, you all have a fabulous rest of your day.
Bye, everyone.